Well, week 1 is in the books, as it's now time for week 2, and now here are my picks for week 2 of the 2017 NFL season. But last week, oh my god, I had my worst week 1 ever in my record memory, since I've been doing it since 2014. I went 8-7, which thankfully was enough to get a win record at least. Yep, that's the worst, because I believe it was 13-3 my first memory all the way back to 2014 when I started doing the weekly pick'ems. 2015 I went 14-2. Last year I went 12-4, and then I went 8-7 this week because so many weird things happened that was quite unexpected. And that's not good news for me because week 2 and 3 I usually go like 7-9 or something like that. So yeah, that's definitely gonna look like it's not gonna be a good start for me this year. And also, here is the playoff standings after 1 week into the season. In the AFC, it's the Ravens and Broncos with the byes. It would be the Chiefs going to the Bills and the Raiders going to the Jaguars. And in the NFC, it's the Vikings and Cowboys with the byes, with the Lions going to the Panthers and the Packers going to the Rams. So now let's get to my week 2 picks. So first up is tonight's Thursday night game, and that's the Texans going to the Bangles for the first time since 2015. And I believe the 4th year in a row they actually played each other. And the Texans are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2008. That's how long it's been. And the Bengals also trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2008. And, oh boy, I predicted both of them were going to do the exact same thing to the Jaguars and Ravens that happened upon them instead. Oh my god. Both teams, well, Texans still have a really good defense. Although, the way they played against the Jaguars, probably not as much. And the Bengals, oh my god, mediocre. And of course that offense completely collapsed last Sunday too against the Ravens. Man, I did predict they were going to bounce back a little, but I thought they were still going to struggle. Boy, were they really struggling on Sunday. It looks like they're going to definitely struggle for the rest of the year. And the Texans have won 2 in a row now, so I guess I won't be surprised if the Bengals win, but I trust them a lot less than I do the Texans, so I think I'm going to pick the Texans in this one, but I won't be surprised if the Bengals do win tonight. Then we get to the 1 p.m. game, starting with the Browns going to the Ravens. The Ravens are trying to go 2-0 for the second year in a row. Browns trying to avoid 0-2 for the second year in a row. And how about that? What impressive job by the Ravens against the Bengals last week. That 4 picks, for crying out loud. That's something I don't think I've ever seen the Ravens done. I gotta look that up too. But that secondary looked a lot better. It looked like it's finally been fixed after all these years. But of course that offense still struggled. And the Browns, although they allowed Deshaun Kaiser to get sacked, the league high right now, 7 sacks, they still held on to the end, so maybe they could turn around a lot this year. I think the Ravens will win, but remember, as the Browns have done every year so far this decade, they've always had close games pretty much against the Ravens in Baltimore, like go right down to the wire and stuff, so I mean, you really can't be surprised if the Browns somehow pull it off. I think the Ravens will get it this time. We get to the first of many outer conference matchups, and that's the Bills going to the Panthers for the first time since 2009. Bills trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2014. Panthers trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2015. And man, Panthers, although they spanked the 49ers last week, I don't know about the defense, but offense, Cam Newton didn't really look that good. He did a lot better than last year so far, but man, it looked like it's kind of like in between so far, which is probably maybe the best he's going to get. So that's a little bit of a concern if you're the Panthers. And the Bills, Tyrod Taylor, he struggled a little bit against the Jets before turning around in the end. And of course, the Bills have LaShawn McCoy, who had another 100-yard game last week. So this is going to be a really important game for both teams at this point in the season. And I mean, the Bills, matter of fact, I don't think the Panthers have not beaten the Bills, I don't believe, in a long time. Because I know last time the Bills went to the Panthers in 2009, they did win that one. I think they spanked the Panthers too, pretty much in that one. But I think in the end, with the home field advantage and stuff, and not really trusting the Bills still, I think the Panthers will get this one. It's the Cardinals going to the Colts for the first time since 2005 as they make their debut in Lucas Oil Stadium. The Cardinals trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2005. That's how long it's been. And the Colts are trying to avoid 0-2 for the 3rd year in a row. And wow. I don't think these two are going to probably be the worst team in the league, but for September, I think they're going to be the worst teams by a mile. Oh my God, the Cardinals. I mean, the defense played solid at first against the Lions, so they blew it in the fourth quarter, but my God, that offense completely collapsed. Palmer throwing 3 picks for crying out loud. I thought, based upon that, although they went 7-8-1 last year, they played a lot better than a 7-8-1 team. I thought they were still talented enough, maybe they could bounce back this year and challenge, maybe get a win record, challenge the Seahawks for the NFC West, but now, they don't look like it at all. That offense looked completely collapsed. Palmer looks like completely washed up. And, of course, I warned all you Cardinals. Since 2013, you should have drafted QB when this time comes around. And you never did it. So, this is all your problem on yourself. And, of course, the Colts. Because I found out the other day. I haven't found out if Andrew Luck's on PUP. But they say he's not going to be back till like October. So, without Andrew Luck, pretty much the Colts are pretty much shit. So I think this game is pretty much going to be defense. And it's probably going to be low scoring, which is awesome for me, although I'm not going to be able to probably see it. But this is going to be probably a low scoring game, and whoever makes the least mistakes is going to win it. And I mean, you can't really trust Carson Palmer, and you can't really trust whoever the Colts play next week. So you got to rely solely on defense. And who you trust defense more? Colts or Cardinals? I trust the Cardinals defense more, even though they're going to be the away team. So I guess I won't be surprised if the Colts somehow do it, but I think the Cardinals will squeak out this one. And then it's the Titans going to the Jaguars. The Titans trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2012, and the Jaguars are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2006. And the Titans, they lost, but I mean, it's the Raiders. It was I can't really say it's a hard-fought battle. It's by 10 points. So that's actually the worst loss they've had against the Raiders these last 3 years. But they still fought hard at the end. And the Jaguars' surprising victory against the Texans. That was quite impressive right there. As that was actually 1-0 for the first time since 2011. That's how long it's been since they've won their first game. Now, although the Titans are a much better team, they have not beaten the Jaguars in Jacksonville, I believe, since 2013. And they've always since then, I think it's 3 straight losses now, they've always consistently lost to Jaguars in Jacksonville. Matter of fact, remember last year when the Texans beat Titans were much obviously a better team. They got spanked by the Jaguars, remember, last year. So, although the Titans are definitely a much better team, I think the Jaguars will get the win and surprise the AFC South so far by possibly being the only team with a win so far this AFC South with a 2-game lead over against everyone, possibly 2. That'll be quite impressive. And it's the Eagles going to the Chiefs for the first time since 2013, as Andy Reid is looking forward to get another win against his former team, as the Eagles are trying to go 2-0 for the second year in a row. Chiefs are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2013. And wow, the Eagles, they didn't look that bad against the Redskins. I mean, Carson Wentz, of course, struggled a bit, but that's not really much of a surprise. But that defense definitely looked a lot better than last year. And the Chiefs, how about that incredible victory against the Patriots? Defense, they did a really good job against the Patriots in the fourth quarter. Alex Smith, for God's sake, he had probably one of his best games ever in his career last week against the number 1 defense. So that's pretty impressive, but how much? Well, I bet that was probably like a one-time thing and not necessarily going to maintain on for the rest of the season. But if the Chiefs won Super Bowl, they need a performance like that every single week. So I think the Chiefs will get the win. However, you got to remember, this is the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are just like the Steelers. And just like the Steelers, they always lose games every year that they should not lose. I mean, fucking last year, the Chiefs, remember, lost to the Texans, the Buccaneers, and Titans. Games that they probably should have easily won, too. So, this looks like, especially after that performance against the Patriots, this looks like it could be a situation where they might actually lose to the Eagles and not show up like they did last week against the Patriots. So, Chiefs fans, you better be looking out for that just to be safe. But I still think the Chiefs overall will win in the end. It's the Patriots going to the Saints for the first time since 2009. Oh, I remember that Monday night game. That was awesome to see that. as the Patriots are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2001, when the Brady era begins. The last time they went to 0-2 in that game against the Jets, and the Saints are trying to avoid 0-2 for the 4th year in a row. Oh my God. Now, the Patriots, I mean, oh my God. The way after the Patriots lost, I hear it all over the place. It's getting ridiculous. It sounds like that loss against the Chiefs on Monday night 3 years ago when they wouldn't shut up about the Patriots. It's one game, for God's sake. And remember, the Patriots led to the fourth quarter. They just blew it in the end. If they didn't they might have been able to win if they didn't blow it so badly like they were in the fourth quarter. So don't underestimate the Patriots so soon, especially after one game. But of course, Brady definitely struggled last Thursday. I don't even think he got half his passes. That's how struggling he was. And I thought, wow, maybe the Saints might actually pull it off this week against the Patriots after seeing how they do on Monday night. But then the Monday night game against the Vikings happened, and they let the Vikings get almost 500 yards against them with Sam Bradford and an AP-less Vikings team. If you're going to let that team get 500 yards almost on you, Brady's way better than and the Patriots' offense is way better than the Vikings, for crying out loud. So I think this is going to be an offensive shootout, easily probably getting over 40. Maybe the winning team might get 50 points probably in the end. So, and of course, who do you trust more? Brady or Breeze? I definitely trust the Patriots defense, although they struggled last week, than the Saints defense. So I think the Patriots will come back on this one and get the win, but I also, at the same time, maybe won't be surprised either if the Saints somehow get it. It's the Vikings going to the Steelers for the first time since 2009. I remember that game too because that's the game that the Vikings got their first loss that year, as both teams trying to go 2-0 for the second year in a row. The Vikings have not beaten the Steelers in Heinz Field ever, as this is going to be third try, and they haven't beaten the Steelers at Pittsburgh since 1995. That's how long it's been since then. And of course, the Steelers I'm a little bit concerned of because Le'Veon Bell was completely shut down against the Browns last week. And Big Ben, I think, struggled a little bit in that game against the Browns as well. And then the Vikings, of course, Sam Bradford destroyed the Saints defense last week. And of course, that defense clamped down hard against the Saints last week too. That was quite an impressive victory. But I think the Steelers will spank the Vikings this time around. And it's the Bears going to the Buccaneers for the third year in a row, as the Bears are trying to avoid an 0-2 start for the third year in a row. And the Buccaneers making their first game this year since Irma ruined their their first week one game against the Dolphins, as they're trying to go 1-0 for the second year in a row. Man, the Bears, Jeff, if y'all seen the Schleg guy, who I absolutely love, I watch every one of his NFL videos, you should go check him out. Put his link maybe in the description or the comment section, because he's awesome stuff, as he's a huge Bears fan. He really shit on them really hard last week against that very close win against the Falcons, which I told you all you should watch out because they probably would get the victory, and they almost did. But the Bears, unfortunately for them, really don't have the offense probably as much to take on the Buccaneers now. Now, of course, the Buccaneers, we really don't know what's going to happen with them yet since they have yet to play. But remember, this is actually the fourth year in a row they're going to play against each other, but this is the third year in a row they're playing Tampa. Remember, in 2014, the Bears won against the Buccaneers. Matter of fact, I think that was the last game they won that year too. And then in 2015, they beat the Buccaneers in a comeback. But then last year, remember, the Buccaneers absolutely and utterly destroyed the Bears in the middle of the season. And we don't know exactly what's going to happen yet, since like we said, we have not seen the Buccaneers play. But I'm sure they're going to probably spank the Bears again to get their first win of the year. Well, then we get to the 4 p.m. games, starting with the Dolphins going to the Chargers for the second year in a row, as the Dolphins are going to make their debut this year and try to go 1-0 for the first time since 2015. The Chargers trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2003. That's how long it's been. And of course, the Chargers are making their first home game in the regular season in Los Angeles since 1960. So now the Dolphins, just like the Buccaneers, we haven't really seen them play yet, so we don't know what's going to happen yet, but I always thought they were overrated. And, of course, Jay Cutler down the starters. That's right. Tannehill's down. Nah. Now, of course, the Chargers, they fought pretty hard against the Broncos last week. And I saw the highlights since I couldn't watch the rest of the game. That comeback, oh my goodness, that was quite impressive. And they put a lot of pressure on Trevor Siemian. So that defense seems a little bit better than last year. So since we have not seen the Dolphins, and of course I don't trust them at all with Jay Cutler being a starter if he's going to play. But even if he doesn't, I don't really trust the Dolphins at all unless Ryan Tannehill's starting. And of course we saw Chargers play, and they almost pulled off the comeback against the Broncos and looked much better. I think the Chargers will get this one and get their revenge from last year's loss. And it's the Jets going to the Raiders for the first time since 2015. The Jets trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2007, I believe. And the Raiders trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2002. And while the Raiders did a really good job against the Titans last week, Marshawn Lynch, his first game back like in 2 years, he didn't get 100 yards, but he did an okay job against them. And the Jets, they surprisingly held on against the Bills. And they did well, not really a good job, but they did an okay job so far. But now they got to go to the Raiders, who is definitely a much better team than the Bills. I think the Raiders will probably easily destroy the Jets in this one. But remember, it seems just like last year too, the Raiders might struggle against them too, since it seems the Raiders also struggle against teams as well, just like the Chiefs, although to a lot lesser extent. So although I think the Raiders will easily destroy the Jets, don't be surprised if they somehow pull it off. And then it's the Cowboys going to the Broncos for the first time since 2009, as the Cowboys trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2015. Broncos trying to go 2-0 for the 5th year in a row. Oh my God, that is incredible how long they've kept that win streak alive going. And the Cowboys have never beaten the Broncos in a Mile High, Sports at 40 Field in Mile High. Matter of fact, they have not beaten the Broncos in Denver since 1992, for crying out loud. That's how long it's been. And of course, Cowboys, oh my God. I had a lot of concerns, especially even when Zeke was back against the Giants, although I thought they were winning. I was a little concerned about them, but man, that concern was largely eliminated as that offensive line protected Dak a lot, and Zeke had a great game, and that defense utterly embarrassed the Giants. That was quite impressive. And now they got to go to the Broncos, who, although they have a much better defense, a defense I actually trust, unlike the Giants, that offense is definitely a lot worse than the Giants. So I think, although I won't be surprised if the Broncos somehow pull it off, because they've historically have done it against the Cowboys pretty much, I think the Cowboys should win this one. And then it's the Redskins going to the Rams for the first time since 2013, I meant to say, as the Redskins are trying to avoid 0-2 for the second year in a row, and the Rams are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2001. For God's sake, that's how long it's been. Redskins are in Los Angeles for the first time since 1994. In fact, the Redskins were the last opponent that the Rams played in their original stint back in Los Angeles before they moved to St. Louis. So it's how interesting to see that. And of course, the Redskins, that defense looked a lot better against the Eagles, but oh God. Not having Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon really hurt Kirk Cousins. He definitely did not look good at all, and he looked very scared in that against the Eagles last week. And of course, the Rams, they destroyed the Colts. Matter of fact, I think the Rams right now have the best points differential in the league right now, after that 46-9 victory, I believe it was. But of course, that's against the Colts. They were at home. Colts were struggling without Andrew Luck, so I mean, that's not really that much of a surprise that they somehow pulled that off. But I think, because earlier this year, throughout the season, I had a little bit of a trouble picking this one. I always predicted the Redskins, but I also had a little concern that maybe the Rams somehow might pull it off. I think it's going to be the case that the Rams might actually pull it off, But don't be surprised either if the Redskins somehow do it. But I think the Rams might get this one after that surprise victory against the Colts. And then it's the 49ers going to the Seahawks. The 49ers are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2010. And the Seahawks trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2015. And of course, this old rivalry that of course died out very quickly, which is quite unfortunate. And of course, the 49ers... they're terrible as always. What else to expect? Seahawks, of course, they went to the Packers. That offensive line is still problematic. Of course, like I predicted. And of course, just like this one, there's nothing really else to say. I think the Seahawks will easily crush the 49ers here. Then we get to Sunday night, and that's the Packers going to the Falcons for the second year in a row, as the Falcons are going to make their first home debut in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I can't wait to see, although... I miss the Georgia Dome. It's so bad that's going to be gone so much. As the Packers are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2015. And the Falcons trying to also go 2-0 for the first time since 2015. And the Packers, oh my god, that Packers defense looked a lot better right now against the Seahawks. But then again, at home against that terrible offensive line, I guess that's not too much to ask for. And of course, the Falcons... they kind of struggled against the Bears, which is kind of expected. And, of course, Packers at Falcons. Oh, boy. I've had a pretty annoying history with this. Because I remember back in 2010 when they played. Because remember, that was like the battle for the number one seed in the NFC at the time. And the Falcons squeaked out that one. Although I think I predicted the Packers in that one. And then remember they played in the divisional round. I thought the Falcons were going to easily beat the Packers that one. And then they went to shit the bed 48-21 or something like that. And of course the Packers beat them again in 2011. But then last year, I predicted the Packers were going to win both games. And remember in the regular season, the Falcons just barely beat the Packers in that one, just had to do a comeback. And I thought, nah, they're not going to be able to do that in the NFC Championship. And, of course, not only did they beat the Packers, they destroyed them. However, I can't really... I won't be surprised if either one of them win, but I just don't trust the Falcons. I don't trust them at all against the Packers, even though they did beat them last year twice. And, of course, that spanking in the NFC Championship. I think that was more like a one-time thing. And I think the regular season matchup last year is more of an indicator with them. And I think it's going to go right down the wire, perhaps. Or the Packers spank them outright. But I think the Packers will win this one. And then we get to the Monday night game. A game that I have no idea why they picked this. And that's the Lions going to the Giants for the second year in a row. As it's a rematch. It's a matchup between the two wildcard teams in the NFC. As the Lions are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2011. And the Giants are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2015. Okay, the Lions. Yeah, you beat the Cardinals, and yeah, you spanked them pretty good, but remember, you were down to the fourth quarter. They were holding you down pretty good, and Matthew Stafford had an incredible fourth quarter performance against them, but I still really don't trust you overall. And of course, the Cardinals, Carson Palmer was definitely struggling. That's more like how you got all those picks and stuff. And now you got to go up against the Giants, who I also don't trust at all. That defense, although still probably good, is still overrated pretty much, and free agency built, so it's going to collapse very soon eventually. And the way they played against the Cowboys, I think it's going to start, especially since Eli, oh my god, Eli looks like Peyton Manning in 2015. Looks like his regression is finally be coming up to him very quickly. And I do not trust either one of these teams. They're like the least trustable teams of my eyes so far this year. And although the Lions definitely played a lot better than the Giants, history's not on the Giants' side. The Lions' side when they played the Giants in New York. Now, they have never beaten the Giants in MetLife Stadium. Matter of fact, I don't think they've beaten the Giants at all since 2004 in New York. East Rutherford. That's how long it's been. And between two teams, I do not trust. I usually more likely side with the home team, especially with that really good defense. So I think the Giants, although they're struggling, I think they will get the victory. Those are my picks for Week 2. I can't wait for Texans at Bangles. Texans at Bangles tonight. And I can't wait for the rest of the Week 2. And hopefully, this week, I'll turn around, have a really good week, and try and avoid, for like the third year in a row, the week 2 and 3 slump that I've had. So hopefully I'll be really correct this week with my